Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I am going to do part 1 of 2 about how to heal your inner child. So on my last meditation video, I was asked to provide a meditation for healing the inner child, and upon reflection, I have decided that instead of doing a meditation, I am going to give you an exercise instead. Because I feel like, yeah, I could give you a meditation and it would be fun and it would feel good or whatever, but I think that true healing of the inner child comes through your actions in everyday life, okay? And of course I'm going to get into that. And so this is why I decided not to do a meditation and to do more of like an instructional video giving you something concrete to take away to actually start doing in your day-to-day life to help you heal the inner child, your relationship with your inner child, okay? So in this video, I am just going to talk about what the inner child actually is, and I am going to talk to you about how the inner child gets wounded and how those wounds kind of show themselves in life. And then in the next video, in part 2, I will tell you what to do to actually heal your inner child, okay? So your inner child is this part of you that is innocent, that is young, that is fresh, that looks at everything as an adventure. Your inner child is really connected to your intuition, and you're just kind of feeling knowing about things rather than your logic, okay? The inner child is the part of you that wants to play, that wants to learn, that wants to explore. Your inner child is that part of you that wants to try things and isn't so afraid of failure and isn't so afraid of what might happen, but is more thinking like, whoa, what might happen? You know what I'm saying? Like kind of the difference between those two things. And so your inner child is a really, really beautiful part of who you are. And a healthy inner child, a person who is healthfully expressing their inner child, is this kind of person that's very light about things, that's explorative, that's just kind of having fun in this life. It's that part of you that remembers what this life is all about. You see, it's that part of you that remembers that we're here to learn, that we're here to grow, that we're here to expand, that we're here to find the play and the adventure and the fun in everything and in every experience. And so this part of you is still alive and well. You see, no one loses their inner child. No one's inner child ever goes anywhere. It's just that as adults, we learn how to very effectively squash our inner child, okay? So when we are talking about someone who's got like a wounded inner child, we're essentially talking about almost every adult that exists right now, okay? Because these are the people that, you know, follow logic more than they follow anything else. These are the people that are completely disconnected with their intuition because they're just like so in their head. These are the people that are super afraid of failure because it means that, you know, you fail and that you're bad and that people won't like you and all of these terrible things might happen if you try something you don't know how it's going to go. It's the part of you that doesn't know how to have fun, that doesn't know how to play, that doesn't know how to relax, that doesn't know how to just like kick back, that doesn't know how to have pleasure activities that aren't self-destructive. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like when we've got a wounded inner child or an inner child that's not being expressed, okay? Another way that it can kind of manifest is through painful relationships. You know, when you're not able to be fully and completely authentic with yourself, when you're not really able to be, to feel safe in relationships and to find relationships that are emotionally and spiritually and physically safe for you, that can also be kind of like a symptom of a wounded inner child, because instead of, like I say, like using your intuition and knowing that you're worthy of being loved and that you're worthy of being accepted and that you're worthy of being treated at a certain level of respect and love, you are now kind of like desperately looking for love, or are allowing yourself to be treated in a way that is not respectful because you've forgotten your value, okay? So that's another important point, is that your inner child is that part of you that has never forgotten your value, okay? Because like a baby, and a baby, we see babies, they're not asking you to feed them, they're not asking you to love them, they're not asking you to cuddle them, they're like, hey, I'm here. love me, feed me, take care of me. I don't have to provide anything for you in order to be worthy of you taking care of all of my needs, right? And it's not to say that we're meant to live like that forever, and I'll get into that, but it's just to say that, like, the inner child part of you is that part of you that's still connected with your value and understands your worth and understands how amazingly valuable you are. And when you start to heal your relationship with the inner child, all of these issues of self-worth and all of these issues of play and pleasure and adventure and being able to have fun and be comfortable in your own skin and to be able to identify safe relationships and to leave ones that are not safe and to demand a little bit better treatment from the people around you, all of these things start to come up and all of these things start to get healed along the path of healing the inner child, because that's what the inner child is, okay? So that's the inner child, and that's kind of what it looks like when you have a wounded inner child. Is, yeah, you have kind of shady relationships, you have forgotten your value, you don't know how to play and have fun, you're afraid to fail, so you don't want to try things. These are all kind of like the symptoms of a wounded inner child. So this brings us to the idea of, like, how does this inner child get wounded? How come we're all walking around with these super wounded inner children? And that is basically due to adults, and, you know, adult in this definition is not necessarily an adult human, okay, or like a person who is 18 years old and older. What I'm talking about is more like adult as in like a mindset, okay? So what I'm talking about is when we have been told as children, like, and this is usually how it manifests for most people, is you come into the world, you're a child. You're beautiful, you're innocent, you're playful, you think that life is amazing, you want to try things, you want to experiment, you want to have fun, you want to play, you believe that you're awesome. And then slowly along the way, or maybe not slowly, sometimes it's pretty, like, right when you're born, we start getting told by adults, it's not okay to act how you're acting. It's not okay to feel how you're feeling. It's not okay to say the things that are on your mind. It's not okay to be the way that you are. It's not okay to be so demanding. It's not okay to be this or that. And slowly we start to learn that how we are is not okay. Okay? And we start to learn that the way that we want to behave and the way that we feel about ourselves and the way that like play and fun and adventure and all this thing is not appropriate. Okay? So we start to learn, like, the world's not safe. You can't just talk to people. We start to learn you can't just go and try stuff. Something terrible could happen to you. You don't go play there. Don't go do that. Don't talk to that person. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't express your emotions. Don't be sad. Don't be mad. Don't be angry. Don't be any of these things. And like I say, kind of along the way, what's happening is your inner child is being abandoned by the adults around you. Okay, so most of us understand abandonment in kind of like a broad sense, but the true kind of, like, if you boil it down to what really happened, the way your inner child gets wounded, the way your inner child becomes something that needs to be healed is through abandonment, okay? And so abandonment can be, like, literally your parents actually abandon you, like, physically removed themselves from your presence, all right? That's obvious abandonment, all right? Your parents or the people around you, not necessarily just your parents, but just the adults in your life that matter to you, or your caretakers, or your grandparents, or your foster parents, or your, you know, your adoptive parents, anyone that was in a caretaker role in your life. If they emotionally abandon you, this causes a wound to the inner child, okay? So we learn it's not okay to be mad, it's not okay to be sad, it's not okay to throw a tantrum, it's not okay to do any of these things. That's emotional abandonment, all right? So instead of the adults in your life coming up to you and saying, okay, honey, why are you reacting this way? What's going on? What are you feeling? Can you tell me what's going on? Can we start to have this dialogue of, like, where do you feel this emotion in your body? And like, we're just not trained to be like that. Most parents don't treat their children like that, right? Like, it's normal for a parent to get mad at their child or to disapprove of their child when they're throwing a tantrum or when they're sad or when they're mad or whatever. And that is emotional abandonment, okay? Or if you are a certain way and your parent emotionally withdraws from you, right? So maybe they don't discipline you, which is like overt abandonment. They withdraw from you and they pull away and they don't engage with you when you're doing these certain behaviors, or you're acting this certain way, or you're being this certain way. And that is, you know, kind of like covert emotional abandonment. Either way. Or when you don't feel like you're being protected, like your best interests are not being looked out for by your caretaker, your adult caretaker, that is also abandonment, and that causes a wound in the inner child. Okay, so essentially what happens is, on some level, we get abandoned as children. And you know what? This happens. This happens even if you have like the best, most amazing parents in the whole world. No one's perfect, right? And there are going to be times and there are going to be places where you were emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally abandoned. Okay? You were told it was not okay to be the way that you were. You were punished for being the way that you were. You were punished for feeling the way that you felt. You were punished for expressing yourself the way that you expressed yourself. And it can be even like as down to like, you know, it's inappropriate to be the personality that you have, right? And so on some level, you were emotionally abandoned. And this causes a wound to the inner child, okay? And then as we start to grow, right, as adults, we start to become adults. We start to integrate into society. What do? We start abandoning ourselves. Okay? So we start to tell ourselves it's not okay to be how I am. We start to tell ourselves it's not okay to feel how I feel. We start to tell ourselves there are all these things that are completely inappropriate about myself that I can't do. Or we start to tell ourselves, you know, yeah, I'm totally incapable. My parents keep telling me over and over again that I'm not capable of doing these things for myself, and that's abandonment. And now I believe that I'm not capable of that. Or we start to learn that, you know, like, it's not okay to be so intuitively guided. It's not okay to be so explorative. It's not okay to be so expressive with my emotions. It's not okay to be any the way that I am. And so we then start to take on the role of abandoning ourselves, right? And then we walk around as adults abandoning ourselves all day long, right? So you get mad at someone, you tell yourself you shouldn't feel mad. You engage in a certain behavior and you tell yourself you shouldn't be engaging in that behavior. You have gone to therapy for 10 years and you still are dealing with this issue, and basically you still just are telling yourself you shouldn't be having to deal with this. You should be better by now. You should be over this. You're upset with someone and you tell yourself you shouldn't be upset with them. You are any number of things, right? All day long we're telling ourselves over and over and over, I shouldn't feel how I should feel. I shouldn't be behaving how I'm behaving. I shouldn't be thinking what I'm thinking. I shouldn't be so judgmental. I shouldn't be so negative. I shouldn't not want to go to work. I shouldn't not want to take care of my kids. I shouldn't have this feeling right now like I don't want to do this thing that I should want to be doing. I'm not this saint, and that is meaning that I'm a crappy person. And so this wounded child that's inside of you is being continually wounded over and over and over again every single time you make yourself wrong. Every single time you tell yourself it's not okay to be how you are. Every single time you tell yourself it's not okay to feel how you feel. Every single time you have that inner dialogue where you emotionally abandon yourself. Okay? So this is what it looks like to have a wounded inner child, and this is why it happens, because we are emotionally abandoned by the people in our lives. We're taught how to be emotionally abandoned, and then we start to do it to ourselves. Okay, so before I end this video, I'm just going to say that we don't, like I say, we don't want to be an extreme of anything, right? So it wouldn't be healthy to be completely only your inner child with no adult characteristics, right? Fully operating on intuition, just never thinking about anything twice, just like running out into the street. Obviously that's not helpful, right? You don't want to live that way. Swing the other way, we don't want to be completely adult. We don't want to be fully logic. We don't want to be fully like, can't have fun, can't relax, can't do anything, adventure, can't try anything new because we don't know how it's going to go. We don't want to be either extreme, right? Essentially, we want to be kind of living from this inner child place of intuition and play and fun and adventure, and using our adult skills of logic and reasoning and foresight in order to make this a safe and productive way of living. You see? Like, we want to be the adults who feel what we feel, know what we know, sense what we sense, and then we use our ability to think and reason and foresight and logic in order to make this inner child stuff a workable reality, right? So, like, wouldn't it be fun if we moved to Mexico and did this whole thing? Well, okay, and then you use your adult self, the logic self, the future thinking self, to like plan the visa and save the money and figure out how you're gonna have the job, blah 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 blah, right? You use your inner child for all the inspiration for how you're gonna live your life, and then you use your adult self to make it happen, right? So that would be the kind of like ideal balance when your inner child is healthy, is you are using your adult self to help bring forth all this awesome inspiration that comes from the inner child. Okay, so that's this video. In the next video, I'm going to give you your assignment for how to heal your inner child, and it's way simpler than you think, but much harder to do than I think it sounds. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below. I love hearing from you. Follow me on Facebook. I'm Perceptive Trainers. On Instagram, Urban Fruit Bat. The website, perceptiontrainers.com, and the book is at perceptiondiet.com. So yeah, I will see you in the next video. Thanks.